Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you Game 3 in a best of 3 matchup between CatZ and EG Axslav. Should be a great game. Game 1 and Game 2 were just... Games 1 and Game 2 was really fun to watch and really fun to cast. It's been a lot of fun so far, and hopefully Game 3 will not disappoint. CatZ once again spawning as the teal Zerg player, meanwhile EG Axslav spawning as the yellow Protoss. So this is Protoss versus Zerg. Once again, EG Axslav saying he had to play QXC in the first round. Oh, I would have loved to see EG Axslav versus QXC. And then has to deal with CatZ, and then has to deal, if he does win, have to deal with a Drew or Mini or Kiwi Cocky. So yeah, Root Minigun, Root Druby, or Root Kiwi Cocky. We'll see if EG is able to perhaps take this game, and if there's more EG versus Root games, two of my favorite clans, I would love to cast them. So EG Axslav spawning on the north side of the map, pretty much going to open it up with a standard build, perhaps getting a gateway here, then followed by Cybernetics Core. Oh no, getting the gateway here, and then we'll be getting that Cybernetics Core there. So deciding to not use this long single file line area or single file area here, instead we'll be placing the Zealot right there in order to try to fend off that those units. And oh, really nice movement by Axslav, placing down the early pylon, preventing the early hatchery. The probe now coming up sees that there is going to be a spawning pool and an extractor. He most likely knows that he can cancel that pylon now, knowing that the pylon would have been destroyed by those Zerglings anyway, and now CatZ doesn't have the necessary minerals to place down a hatchery just quite yet anyways. Oh, another pylon coming in as Axslav just wandering back and forth between the two, and because of that pylon, once again, CatZ may opt to go for an earlier queen instead, but I don't see an overlord, so they're finally getting an overlord there. Spawning pool is now up, but he is currently supply locked, is not going to be able to get that queen up. Is he going to do the extractor trick? Yeah, doing the extractor trick, 19/18, and now Axslav once again canceling that pylon, and perhaps going to warp in another one just to annoy CatZ even further, preventing CatZ from being able to establish his expansion. There's that drone growing up to be a hatchery, and will be able to fulfill its lifelong dream of training queens, spawning larvae, and being a bank for more minerals. Probe now trying to run away, will be able to escape once again, and Axslav just doing a lot of scouting so far with this one probe so far, and keeping track of what CatZ's strategies and options are. Cybernetics Core currently researching that warp gate research. A sentry is now being trained, so Axslav opening up with the standard Zealot Sentry. So Zealot Sentry is going to be very difficult to stop, as the sentries and Zealots counter many tier 1 units from the Zerg, especially if you can stop those Banelings. Normally the counter to mass Zealot and Sentry is Banelings, as long as the Banelings are not countered by the force fields. Banelings deal significant damage towards sentries and towards Zealots, and especially as sentries and Zealots like to group themselves together. But the only difference, or the only problem, is that Banelings have a relatively slow movement speed this early in the game, unless you're able to establish a very strong creep highway. Drones now being transferred over. The metabolic, no drones on the extractor right now, so CatZ opting to go for a more mineral heavy strategy as the one probe comes in order to gain more sight here. Sees that drones have been transferred. The probe would perhaps walk up that ramp once again, is going to get intercepted by that queen. Oh no, not intercepted by that queen. A queen now down over here, going to get some claws into the back of that probe. That probe now taken down, and now laying down some creep tumors as well. Production wise, CatZ currently power droning, training up 5 drones at the same time, now up to 6. Another queen will be trained up over here in just a moment, so perhaps another spawn larva, and then perhaps able to train up about 8 drones at a time. That is a very strong way to build up your economy. No other race has the ability to train up 8 drones off of 2 production buildings. Back here at Nexus, currently in play, or sorry, currently being warped in, and now sentries also making their way down. A forge now being warped in as well, making it so that those Zerglings and those Hydros and Roaches have to walk around this far side in order to get up that ramp. Axslav would then be able to place down a force field, most likely in time, trapping those units in this very small pocket, and then letting the Zerglings die to Zealot and Sentry fire. More sentries now being warped in, so Axslav going for a very heavy sentry army. He will have a large number of force fields in just a moment, as a photon cannon now being warped in as well. Tier 2 now underway, a roach warren now being warped in, and some more photon cannons warping in by Axslav. So Axslav playing a more defensive game, perhaps wanting to, as he plays a more defensive game, he should be able to macro up very, very slowly, get a large army of gateway units plus Colossus and Void Rays, and simply almost attack move with that army and destroy CatZ, as long as CatZ is not on creep. So observers will be needed as well. Sentries, Zealots, and Stalker now on the move, quickly making their way south, perhaps to try to stop this expansion of these creep tumors. So there are multiple creep tumors already being established, and now the Zealot and Sentries making sure that there isn't a third base already being established on this high ground and in this location here. So no hatchery being placed down. CatZ still running off of 2 bases, as is EG Axslav. You can see 47 drones by CatZ. Meanwhile, Axslav has 36, and this is normally the time when Axslav needs to press out and do an attack. It looks as though CatZ, though, being much more conservative and not attacking or not trying to establish his third base just quite yet. As I say that, he is now taking down these destructible rocks. This may in fact be his third base, and if he establishes this third base, as long as there was enough creep around it, he should be able to easily defend it. The roaches do not have that movement speed upgrade just quite yet. It is currently being researched, and as soon as that research is completed, those roaches will have a movement speed of 4, moving more than 25% faster, or almost 4, moving 25% faster, excuse me, 33% faster than Stalkers. Zerg now activating this Xel'Naga Watchtower here, so it will be 3 bases off of 2, and now CatZ looking to go into Roach Hydra. So Roach Hydra, and now getting 2 additional evolution chambers. So we are going to see very, very heavily upgraded Roaches, Hydras, and perhaps some Zerglings as well. Those evolution chambers are going to definitely help out, as the Carapace upgrades and the Claw upgrades are going to be researched as well. Or is it just going to be the missile upgrades and the Carapace upgrades? We'll have to just wait and see, as the Roach is now wandering around, perhaps going to be able to spot this one Zealot. Yeah, that poor Zealot doesn't stand a chance, quickly gets taken down, as the Roach is now coming in over here to make sure that there is no hidden buildings. Hatchery now being placed down by CatZ, 50% done. Level 1 Carapace upgrades and missile attacks now being researched. And the key question is going to be, will Axslav get enough Colossi? And if there is enough Colossi coming in from Axslav, will Root CatZ get enough Corruptors? That is the next stage in this game. Corruptors are going to be very, very powerful in countering those Colossi, except the Corruptors only have a range of 6, so Stalkers are able to deal significant damage against those Corruptors as well. Observer now still wandering back and forth. We are going into a Twilight Council. I was not expecting a Twilight Council. I was expecting perhaps a Robotics Bay. So that Twilight Council may be for Zealot Charge, or maybe for Stalker Blink, Templar Archives, or Dark Shrine. Not quite sure what his strategy is just quite yet. All of those strategies are very viable, as the Roaches and Hydras now make their way down over here. Will be able to take down this scouting pylon at the natural expansion, as the main army of EG Axslav, with observers able to shut down many of these creep tumors. So those creep tumors now getting taken down. One queen venturing a little bit too far, now getting shut down there. So going to lose some production off of this one building. Needs to train up another queen in order to fend off, in order to keep up with production. We can see a lot of minerals being mined out of this location here, and there's currently no spine crawlers. 24 drones, or a decent number of drones now being mined out here. So this is beyond full saturation, as there are now more than 3 drones per mineral patch. And so CatZ should be getting about 2,500 minerals per, 2,500 minerals per minute, and now getting some extractors as well. Back over here, Stalkers now coming in, will be able to shut down this extractor with relative ease, and now going after the hatchery. Drones now trying to run away. Roaches and Hydra is now going to be pushing in, but in come those force fields, and stopping many of those units in their tracks once again. Hydra is now trying to funnel in their way through, unable to do so, and now down goes this hatchery. So Mass Sentry doing a great job of just preventing the Roach Hydras from even being able to engage. And another round of force fields coming in. Zerglings now coming in from the backside, but still unable to deal all that much damage once again. Roaches now going after some of those Immortals and Stalkers. Roaches now trying to turn around, unable to battle, and now in come the Hydras with another wave of force fields. And those force fields have just been crucial and clutch for Axslav. Those force fields just continually stopping this army time and time again. It looks like we may be getting more force fields. There we go, stopping that army once again. More roaches now trying to come in. Hydralisk being forced to walk around the far side. More force fields delaying them. One Immortal now trying to run away. The Immortal is taking reduced damage because of those hardened shields. And now that one roach just venturing a little bit too far forward. The Stalkers do not have Stalker Blink. Those two force fields, perhaps the two worst force fields in EG Axslav's force field placement so far, but that fight just went very, very well for Axslav. Axslav now establishing his third base, keeping up with his opponent, who is now established this hatchery over here. CatZ now having some long distance mining for a couple of drones who seem dazed and confused, and will be able to start mining out over here. A hatchery has been placed down back over here, as well as the Zerglings try to push into this location. It doesn't look like they'll be successful at all, as this Stalker Immortal army, not Colossi, but Immortals, dealing so much damage. There are now going to be a lot of Mutalisks, and I like this counter by Rude CatZ. Mutalisks eat up Immortals, as that chain damage, that Glaive Worm chain damage, does essentially full damage against all the Immortals, since none of the damage from Mutalisk does over 10. The Stalkers, which there are about 13 of them, will be trying to focus down and take down the rest of those units and take down the rest of the Mutalisk. So the key is going to be whether or not the sentries get 1, Guardian Shields, and 2, if there's going to be enough ground forces to try to draw attention away from those Stalkers, and perhaps Hydralisks or in Zerglings in combination, as long as there's not too many force fields. CatZ now running off of 4 bases. It looks like his economy is up and running once again. Now CatZ up to 2,000 minerals a minute compared to Axslav's 1,500. Taking a look at the losses for CatZ significantly higher, about 1,500 higher in terms of losses, but the army-wise, Axslav still has a little bit of a lead. As Axslav now is getting closer to 200 and 200 food, and CatZ is also getting closer to 200 and 200 food, we should start seeing a more heavy investment in upgrades. There's a Protoss level 3 weapons upgrade, in addition to more gateways, and now another Colossus to join this army. 4 Colossi, we are going to get up to 5 Colossi, and with those Colossi at 42 damage per attack, I believe this Stalker Immortal Sentry mechanized ball would just be able to deal so much damage that there's not much that CatZ can really do. Taking a look at the unit combination, we have 17 Mutalisks in the air, and the Mutalisks are going to be absolutely critical in trying to take down those units. One Mutalisk quickly now getting shut down over here, as this hatchery may get taken down, but instead CatZ opting to do a 2-prong attack, an attack at the expansion and the attack in the main base at the same time. Probes now being transferred over, so this is now going to become a base race. CatZ with a very impressive Colossus Stalker Immortal army, and now those Mutalisks just going after multiple units once again, and now gateways perhaps will get shut down over here. Those warp gates need to get taken down, perhaps by taking down those pylons. He'll be able to slow it down even further. There are a couple Stalkers over here and some cannons over here, as those Zerglings and Hydralisks have finished off both sides, now base racing back and forth. EG Axslav does have 2-0 upgrades, and now almost going to get to 3-0 upgrades. There are a couple of Corruptors, but those Corruptors are not going to be able to do anything at all, as there are so many Stalkers on the ground to shut them down. So who is going to win this base race? Mass Mutalisks now, mass probes now on the move, trying to run away. Are those drones going to be able to transfer off to this location? Yes, it looks like it will be able to. There are a couple Corruptors over here. The probes now trying to run into this location over here will not be able to. The probes now joining in on the fight. Perhaps they will be able to warp in an assimilator or two, as assimilators do not need pylons and is a very, very cheap building to build. So that is probably the best use, as now Rude CatZ and Evil Genius's Axslav tries to destroy each other. There are multiple pylons being hidden out across the rest of the map, as Axslav needs to get cleaned up. Perhaps Axslav, perhaps he should trying to be focused down onto that Nexus. A lot of Hydralisks and Roaches don't realize it's a race and needs to run for their life. Overlord's now trying to run away, as this hatchery over here may get taken down. Probes still running around. Are there going to be some spine crawlers? There's only one spine crawler here. A lot of drones. Production-wise, mass roaches being trained. So mass roaches, drones now trying to run away, perhaps to mine out from this location as well. CatZ still has a 200 food army close to it, while Axslav is sitting at 135. It is going to be a last stand here at the expansion at 3 o'clock, as there are still buildings over here. Axslav is now being revealed. There are still drones hiding out over here, and now Axslav is now being revealed. So Axslav doesn't have that many buildings, only 3 or 4 buildings left. Back over here, this hatchery has now been taken down. The probes do have enough minerals to warp in another nexus, as the drones are a little bit of a trouble. Is he going to be able to warp in some of these buildings? That is going to be the key call. And he does have another hatchery being built off to the north over here. Mutalisk now in the air. Army wise, CatZ still has the larger army, as the roaches now going after what I believe to be the last pylon. Another building needs to be laid down, otherwise it will be GG. Where's the other building? Right here. Axslav now has another building warping in on this location here. And now with only a couple of probes, he needs to fend off this attack. And now he has a large number of probes now warping in another pylon, trying to make sure to stay alive. But those pylons are being revealed. As he is currently being revealed, you can see that there are 2 pylons here, one here, one here. The main army now just holding off against each other, and now drones mining out the 12 o'clock location. There are 2 extractors down over here as well. And now both sides are completely reset in terms of their tech. Immortals and probes. There are a couple of sentries as well. 3 sentries will be able to get off some force fields. Axslav has 2-0 upgrades on his units. Meanwhile, CatZ has 2-2 upgrades. I would have to give this game to CatZ, or have an advantage for CatZ at this stage, just because CatZ has a large number of drones, is able to mine still at this time. There are Mutalisks hanging out over here as well. And these probes are just waiting for this creep to slowly recede. Is he going to be able to warp in he should probably start warping in a gateway at the very least, in order to start reteching. The Mutalisks now coming in over here. This pylon now is shut down. So 1 pylon has been picked off. Only 1 building, or now 2 buildings, standing in between victory and defeat. Meanwhile, we now have a 3rd hatchery being placed down, so CatZ is going to be able to mine a lot of minerals very easily. And now EG Axslav has finally started to rebuild this nexus here. Axslav also getting some additional pylons, but I don't know why he's warping in pylons when he really needs to start rebuilding his tech. He's not going to be able to be unsupply locked anytime soon, as he's at 131 over 24. That is very, very large. You can see now CatZ rebuilding his spawning pool 24 minutes into this game. CatZ also able to train up more drones if he needs to. The corruptors are now in the air, just wandering around as well. There are a lot of probes just surrounding this nexus. And now Axslav hoping to be able to get back into this game. Both sides with a very large army, 6,500 mineral army for Root CatZ, 3675. 5150 versus 2725. Taking a look at the loss tab, both sides lost about the same amount of resources. So this is really a crazy game right now. A bunch of overlords just hiding on the top left-hand side of the map. Doesn't really have to worry about all too much. And it looks as though the Mutalisks want to get some blood onto that 1 pylon here. Finally getting some additional assimilators. Nexus is finally up. Gonna go for a forge. I don't know why the forge wasn't warped in sooner, as that forge, if it was warped in sooner, he could now be finally be placing down some pylons. And that pylon, some cannons, and those cannons would actually be of some use. So we can now see what 2 assimilators are now up and running. Some probes are going to be transferred into there in just a moment. The Colossus just hanging around over here. Immortals over here as well. The Mutalisks now making sure that there are no additional expansions anywhere. And another, we may have another expansion perhaps out of this location here, or even at the gold mineral location here if these rocks are destroyed. An observer is close by. We are now at tier 2 production wise. I need to keep track. We are going into an infestation pit. So infestation pit means definitely that we will be seeing infestors or try to go for tier 3. This is a very, very grouped up ball of units. I cannot imagine that we will be going to tier 3 though. The stalkers do not have stalker blink though, so perhaps the broodlords will be able to spawn some broodlings, start dealing some damage towards those assimilators, and win the fight that way. But I don't see a Spire yet. It does take quite some time to upgrade to tier 3 though, so perhaps the Spire will be placed down as soon as as soon as we start teching into Hive Tech. So Hive Tech now underway. There are a lot of corruptors in the air, and there's that Spire. Spire Tech does take 100 seconds, as long the same amount of build time as the late or the hive tech. So that is going to work out pretty well. Axslav realizes that he's going to be behind on bases. There are a lot of roaches here now. Observer in this location. There are a decent number of corruptors. Hydralisk and roaches now trying to split apart, making sure that they don't take too much damage. And now in comes the fight over here, but the Mutalisk now trying to get in some damage. There are too many photon cannons, and that is going to be a problem as those Mutalisks are now out of position. Roaches and Immortals trying to battle it out, but there are so many force fields down. This is looking very bad for Axslav, though, as Axslav doesn't have any more Colossi. There are still some Mutalisks left. The Mutalisks are now going to finish off the rest of those Stalkers. Hydralisk now dealing some damage back towards those Infestors. Production-wise, we are now training up even more Roaches. Hydralisk now coming in. There are a lot of Corruptors in the air, and the Corruptors are just standing there, perhaps trying to absorb some of that damage. There are a lot of drones here as well, so those Hydralisks now being able to force the rest of those Immortals and Stalkers to retreat. The Roaches may be able to catch up to that one Immortal, and there is one quick corruption there. Stalkers now coming in to try to deal some damage, and now the Roaches and Hydralisks continuing to give chase. And now with the Greater Spire now underway, I would have to definitely give this game to CatZ. As soon as CatZ gets the Greater Spire up, he will have Broodlords, and those Broodlords with that range of 9.5 would have just completely changed the state of the game. E.g. Axslav knows it, as he's only running off of one base, and there's the GG. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed Game 3 in this best of 3 series between E.g. Axslav and CatZ. Here in the Xel'Naga Caverns, E.g. Axslav and CatZ just giving very entertaining games here. And yeah, hope to see you guys on Battle.net.